My next patron question is from Scoundrel, who would like to know if there's a live-action adaptation of Bully by Rockstar Games, would it work better as a TV series or a movie? This is a video game I admit to not having played, but I certainly remember it and the controversy generated from its release. There were a lot of discussions about the possible influence of the game and whether it glorified bullying, and there were even discussions in several places to get it banned. The most notable came from Fred Thompson, who's notorious for targeting video games and tried to get it banned in Florida over fears it could inspire the next Columbine. It was not even his first altercation with Rockstar Games and their parent company Take-Two Interactive, as he also went after them over Grand Theft Auto. In the end, a judge ruled that the game could be released. Like I said, I've not played the game, so I cannot comment on these controversies and whether people like Thompson were right. Although from what I've read, the game's message is more about criticizing school administrations and their lack of attention towards bullies, rather than being a celebration of bullying like Thompson and others perceived it as. As for whether it could be adapted for the screen, I'm not sure if it will. The game was released in 2006 and sold very well, leading to Rockstar starting work on a sequel that never reached store shelves. While it has been updated and remastered a few times over the years, is there enough of a following for a movie or television studio to consider producing an adaptation? I also talked about it before in a previous video, but Take-Two is incredibly protective of their games and has shown a lack of interest in seeing them adapted to the screen, partly because of their disappointment with the Max Payne movie. And I imagine after how the Borderlands movie turned out, that has made them even more careful about future film adaptations. There is currently a BioShock movie in the works at Netflix, which is Francis Lawrence attached to direct. But it's still reportedly far away from its start date, and casting has not been announced yet, so it's not a guarantee it will reach screens at the moment. So for Bully's screen adaptation to happen, a producer or director or studio would have to really convince the people at Take-Two that they'll do it justice. Meanwhile, a minor hurdle could be that there's a well-known documentary released some years ago, also titled Bully, which centers on school bullying. While there's nothing preventing them legally from using that same title, it might be seen as insensitive by some to use it, especially considering the subject matter of that documentary. It would be like making a family film about children who love visiting aquariums and seeing the orcas and naming it Blackfish. But let's say hypothetically someone were to adapt Bully. What would it entail, and what would be the best approach? With a television series, you could devote each episode to a confrontation the main character Jimmy has and how he attempts to resolve it through the means he finds necessary. A show could go through the entire school year and see the problems building up, and they can even be episodes that show a different perspective. Like one episode looks at the situation from the point of view of the school administration and teaching staff. Another episode could be through the eyes of the bullies who torment Jimmy. There are a lot of interesting angles that could be taken with a television series and the individual storylines shown in each episode. However, a movie could also work in showing the problems that arise at the school and Jimmy's attempts to navigate them. Most of the perspective would obviously be on Jimmy and the decisions he makes. The game apparently has a satirical angle in how it addresses the issues faced by the main character, so for fans of the game, am I right that a film adaptation would be akin to something like Mean Girls, and how it would tackle the subject of being intimidated by other students, and how it blows over the entire school? Or maybe it could be like Election, which also took a satirical approach in how it looked at the lives of the students and their teachers, although that movie mixed the high school setting with a commentary on the dirty game of politics, while a Bully movie would be more about addressing violence in the school system and among students. As for who could be a fitting director for such a project, I assume it would be a filmmaker with a satirical edge who could tackle the subject in a darkly funny and thought-provoking way. Even though he has not directed a movie in 20 years, Ghost World and Bad Santa director Terry Swigoff comes to mind. And having just mentioned Election, Alexander Payne could be someone I imagine directing a film like this. I think Mike Judge would also be a fitting choice. Of course, I'm answering this question from the perspective of an outsider who only knows the basic premise, so I would actually be interested in hearing thoughts from people who have played the games. Let me know in the comments, and thank you for the question, Scoundrel.